Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am Akshay, and I'm your RMIT University Student Union, or RUSU, President for 2021. And I'm currently studying a Bachelor's of Social Work at RMIT. And a little bit about me, I love riding motorcycles and exploring nature in my free time. I'm honored to be here today to welcome you all to the RMIT and your 2021 at RMIT. And joining me live in our virtual studio is our fellow RMIT student, Rishabh Bhatt, and dialing in is the Facebook creative strategist, Stephanie DiGian Vincenzo. And we got a little under an hour together. So take a seat, relax, and let us help prepare you and inspire you for your RMIT adventure. Orientation is all about celebrating the start of the year and the start of the semester. And while it's more of a challenge to meet in person this year, there's still plenty of ways to get involved. It's not been an easy year for those of us here last year. So I understand what you might be feeling. But let's hope that by mid-year, we can be together a whole lot more. Now, before we get into it, we'd love to know where you're checking in and how you're feeling about starting at RMIT. So please pick up your mobile phone or tablet and type menti.com into your search browser on your phone and enter the code that you see on the screen, which is 9416397. And we'll put this info in the chat for you too. And if you're currently watching on your phone, don't leave. Drop the answer in the YouTube or Weibo chat instead. So there we go. So the first question is, where are you checking in from? And I've got my lovely Rishabh with me as well to help me tackle where everyone is. Hi, Rishabh.
Hi, Akshay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to RMIT in 2021. And I am seeing a lot of people from Melbourne and Brisbane.
Ooh, yes. Yes, I see a lot of dots popping up. Yeah. Wow. Hi, everyone. Welcome, everyone. It's so good to see everyone. This is amazing.
Wow, that's a big number, isn't it? There's a lot in India.
Absolutely.
There's a lot in Indonesia and Vietnam. And
yeah,
somebody
I see the
from
number
the Gulf as well.
Up. Yeah, absolutely.
That's lovely.
Marvelous. Oh, I see a blue dot in the ocean. Do I see one in the ocean? We have students cruising in the sea.
Sri Lanka. Oh wow, lovely. And there's a Latin American from Colombia.
There we go. And Canada, I believe, or America. I can't really properly see it, Rishabh. Yeah, and my next.
I think it is Canada.
Absolutely.
It's a little bit high up, isn't it? Somebody from Iceland. Wow.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
And my second,
wow.
Yeah, and my second question to you all viewers, that's amazing, is how are you feeling about starting at RMIT? And, we have 865 people watching live. So how are you feeling about starting at RMIT? And you can see the options there. So, go right on. Oh,
wow. Love the spirit.
There we go. I am ready. I am ready, and I am ready to tackle it. This is great. I got this. I love it.
Unsure. How about you, Akshay? What do you think about resuming university?
I don't know, Rishabh. I am back today in my office, and with a lot of students today morning joining us in the physical orientation as well. So I am a bit overwhelmed, but at the same time, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I am back where I belong with students.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, so yeah, a bit
Interesting.
excited. Yeah,
Yeah, that's fun.
that's amazing that a lot of students feel positive about being back to studying and excited
Yeah,
about orientation and being back on
super, super
campus.
excited. Indeed.
Amazing.
I can't.
That is amazing. Yeah, okay. Let me give you some tips on making the most out of your first few weeks and good way to meet new people. So the first big tip that I want to give you is attend a How to RMIT session and your program induction. How to RMIT sessions are packed with all the information you need to help you get a smooth start to the semester. And over 2 sessions, you'll learn about getting started at RMIT, how to tackle tertiary study, as well as tips on how to connect with friends and get involved in the RMIT community, free support services, and lots more. Join a club. There is academic, creative, sports, social, political, cultural, and spiritual clubs. But the How to RMIT session will give you information on how you can find out about them and join them. Go to an event. The live concert on the 25th of Feb with Alex Leahy, the Gorgons, and RMIT's own keeper is one not to be missed. And be quick because it is sold out, but you can watch it online. Head out to the orientation page to register. And I hope to see everyone there on that day as well, on the 25th of Feb. So make sure you take a note of that and explore the campus. There's an app, of course. And if you want the easy way out, the app is called RMIT Campus Navigator. But again, How to RMIT will tell you all about this app. So make sure you attend. Orientation is also about finding your feet and getting your head around how RMIT works. Now, on to the COVID essentials. These are online, which is a big bonus. There is few COVID-safe huddles that you have to jump past, but hear me out. But you can attend a campus once you've jumped through them. So if you got your student card and you have completed your COVID safety module, you're already winning. Don't forget to complete the online health declaration. Scan your student card on campus at each access point each day and connect to RMIT's free Wi-Fi when you are on campus. And if you haven't got your student card yet, go to the RMIT student card webpage to request one of these bad boys. They would be really handy and help you get you where you want to be on campus. And now the admin stuff is out of the way. Let's get a visual of student life at RMIT. Wonderful. That was so brilliant. I'm already very pumped to be on campus. As a student, you will have access to a range of activities and events that will make you feel at home. It will help you to make friends and provide you with an experience you will never forget, trust me. Over February and March, there's heaps of sport, cultural, and networking events taking place. So check out the orientation webpage for the full list of stuff happening. There is even a schedule of events that you can download on the orientation website. There's something guaranteed for everyone. So check it out. And if I haven't mentioned already as well, check out the University Student Union, like I got here on my jacket. They've got plenty of events coming for you as well. So now, let's go to a personal welcome to country by Gran Yarraman Steele, a Burrarong traditional owner. In Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander culture, it's respectful to formally Wominjeka welcome people of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander country or land. Then, join us for a performance by Indigenous Outreach Projects. If the theme of 2020 was You're on Mute, this year, let's make the theme be Get Involved. So let's see you get involved with some dance moves. Subtle toe tapping is okay. Full body movements, even better. We'll dance along with you.
Womanjeka, Merrimbik, Bunurang Namda, Baraptan Atuwilam. In the words of the Bunurang, welcome to our beautiful home, land of the two bays. My name is Garen Yarraman Steele, and I'm an RMIT alumni. As well as this, I'm also a traditional owner or traditional custodian of the lands of the Bunurang people. RMIT is located on the lands of the Bunurang and the Woiwurrung people. And according to the traditions and stories of those people, this land was created by Bunjil. Bunjil is the wedge-tailed eagle, and also by Wa, who protects our waterways and travels as the crow. Bunjil taught the Kulin people to always welcome guests, but required us to ask all guests to make two promises. The first promise was not to harm the land or the children of Bunjil. The second promise was to honour and respect the laws of Bunjil, our Wirangi Bik. To understand these laws, we have to look at the values of Aboriginal people. For the Kulin people, we look at the value of knowledge, for instance, or Yulenj, the understanding of responsibility to knowledge that we have, responsibility to pass that knowledge down to future generations. We look at the value of Jambana, or coming together for a shared purpose. The Kulin people always believed in inviting diversity into their groups, understanding the strength of diversity as it widens our lens, but also understanding that they needed to bind that diversity with common purpose, finding the things that we have in common rather than focusing on the things that make us different. And finally, honouring sacred ground. What this really means for all of us is paying respects to the people and stories that have come to pass on the land where we stand. As Australians, whether you're a first generation, you're an international student, or like me, you're an Aboriginal person, we should all be able to celebrate the 80,000 years of human history that has occurred on the lands where we stand. If we can honour these values, we can pay respects and we can keep our promise to Bunjil. And I can say once again, in the words of my ancestors, Wominjeka, Merrimbik, Bunwurrung Namda Baraptan Atuwilam. Thank you.
Hey, it's your brother boy Balaniba. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this beautiful country on which we live, breathe, and connect on, and pay our respects to the elders both past, present, and emerging. We are called IOP, the Indigenous Outreach Projects. We are a multicultural collective that promotes health and well-being through the arts, music, and dance. We'd like to give a big shout out to the students of 2021 and welcome you back. We hope you have a deadly year this year. Please give it up for my sister girl, Nayoka, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Mali Mali, Mali don't want to get when I do it. Mali Mali, Mali nyara fimba una. Mali Mali, Mali don't want to get when I do it. Mali Mali, Mali nyara fimba una. Mali Mali, Mali don't want to get when I do it. Mali Mali, Mali nyara fimba una. Mali Mali, Mali don't want to get when I do it. Mali Mali. Malinya fimba una Rosa of Africa Halimami of Africa Philosophy of Africa Balotana of Africa Rosa of Africa Halimami of Africa Ekiriven Ubanufe Balotana of Africa Rosa of Africa Halimami of Africa Philosophy of Africa Balotana of Africa Rosa of Africa Halimami of Africa You can nominate it to way and put a marry monko. Come up on you can nominate it to way and put a marry monko.
Smoke fill the sky, smoke fill my eye. Smoke the opposition with spirit that they despise. Cleansing my soul and hope that it overrides every bad spirit. Can you feel it? Switch the vibe. 60,000 plus, that count the hours up. These ancestors that can bless us to power up. And we just out of luck, and we just out for love. So we poke at the fire in the smoke we trust, now open up. I said, I know it's connected. I got some brothers from the TV well respected. And all the family from Kubengi to collected. You feel the smoke in the air whenever we connected.
You can nominate it to way and put a marry monko. You can nominate it to way and put a marry monko. You can nominate it to way and put a marry monko. You can nominate it to way and put a marry monko.
Oh yeah. Everyone give it up for Bala, Nawi and Nayoka. Everyone get ready because we want you guys to get involved as well. All right, we're gonna reach up to the sides. Here we go. Bring it down. Now reach up and down. All right, we're gonna do some animals. The emu. Bring it back. Now the kangaroo. And bring it back. And everyone take a pose. We're Indigenous Outreach Projects. Everyone enjoy your year. Thank you.
Amazing. That was so good and very inspirational as well. I learned a lot. Love that performance. And as you're walking around our different campuses, look out for these Indigenous markers. And there's more on this list. And I'm not going to tell you the location. Consider it an orienting challenge. So, Niagara Williams Centre and Niagara Place are a gathering place for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students. There's a Niagara Williams Centre on City, Bandura, and Brunswick campuses. Woodingibik Law of the Land is a 2.4-meter possum skin clock forged from cast steel and iron. Indigenous artist Dr. Vicky Cousins said the artwork conjured Bunjil, the great creative spirit, to watch over the country and make sure that things are okay. And to add in a curveball, if you are on city campus, the building numbers don't go in the order. And I never knew this when I started, right? And a fun fact, they're actually numbered in the order in which they were acquired. However, once you find your building for your class, all rooms are numbered in the same way. So building number first, then floor number, and then room number. Another fun fact, level 2, for example, in one building may not be level 2 in another building. Again, back to my original tip, take the time to explore campuses. And if it is confusing in your first week, you might want to use the lift, because if you use the stairs, you could probably skip the gym session. That sounded way a lot funnier in my brain. Anyways, we've talked a bit about student admin and what's happening around campus. There's so much more going on, but how to find new mates? As you can see on the screen, best tip of all, register for the mates catch-up at the Oxford Scholar Hotel. Technically, Oxford Scholar is a part of the city campus. I would strongly argue that. And grab some food and drinks and meet some new friends. They're running specific info sessions run by students for international students who are new to Melbourne. And again, back onto our 2021 theme, get involved, join the union. And again, like I said, you must register. Again, jump onto the orientation webpage to find all this information. And coming up after the next video are our guest speakers. And if you have any questions you'd like to ask a fellow student, you've seen Rishabh already on the screen. He's probably one of the most friendliest person on all of RMIT. And Rishabh is in his final semester and can tell you how he survived his first year. Or keynote speaker Stephanie DiGianvincenzo, creative strategist from Facebook, and you can post your questions to YouTube now or the Weibo chat. So I'm sure there will be a flood of questions and general comments coming through. So if you can add question in caps, our lovely Sean will shoot that right to me on my phone so that I can ask the question onto our guest speakers. And that will help me a lot to navigate the questions right to our speakers. And now let's hear from our Vice-Chancellor Martin Bean and Interim Deputy Vice-Chancellor of Education, Sherman Young.
Wominjika, everyone. I'm Martin Bean, proud Vice-Chancellor and President of RMIT, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to the start of a new year for our university community. Whether you're just starting out or you're continuing your studies in 21, I want to tell you that it's going to be a year like no other. We went through an extraordinary experience in 2020, and I know many of you did it tough. I'm confident the resilience and capacity to adapt you demonstrated last year are exactly the skills that are going to help you thrive in your studies and the new world of work. Over the summer break, we were all reminded that COVID is still with us and just how important it is that we remain vigilant. We all need to keep being COVID safe, so please take care of each other and respect the new ways of interacting on campus that are designed to keep all of us safe. I can't wait to welcome you back, and we're doing all we can to create a vibrant and exciting campus experience. It may be a little different at the moment, but you can still participate in clubs, sports, and on societies and make all those connections that are so much a part of our university experience. Make the most of what's on offer, and if you're unsure, reach out and ask for our help, because we're here to make your RMIT days the best they can be. Take care and say hi when you see me on campus.
Wominjeka. My name's Sherman Young. I'm the Deputy Vice-Chancellor Education here at RMIT, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you here for Semester 1 2021. Last year was pretty challenging for many of us, so you're probably asking, what does Semester 1 look like for RMIT students? And the answer to that, unsurprisingly, is it's going to be a mix of on-campus and online activities. We'll be opening up a whole range of activities here on campus. So retail will be open, food, the library, gyms, the galleries. But we also know that some of you may not be able to get onto campus, so the student support areas will be available online for your learning and your wellbeing. The learning itself, that's going to be a blend of online and on campus. We'll be following the government guidelines and prioritising those activities where the experience is best face-to-face. So whether you're returning to RMIT or brand new at RMIT, welcome to you all. There'll be plenty of opportunities for discovery and connecting with the RMIT community. And if you see me on campus, come and say hi.
Absolutely. It's awesome that the VC and DVC have taken the time to welcome students. And it was very reassuring, especially for me, to hear that they're very keen and excited to have students on campus and to support students with the coming year. And I hear the VC, Martin, really likes to get amongst it and chat with students around campus. So if you see him, feel free to say hi. And same goes for Sherman. And up next is a fellow student, Rishabh, which I've already introduced earlier, to share his experience of RMIT. There we go. We already have him in. And Rishabh is studying a master's in aerospace engineering. Welcome, Rishabh. We're very excited to have you here.
Thank you so much, Akshay, for that lovely introduction. And I might probably be the friendliest person on campus. I doubt that, but definitely friendly a person just generally. So thank you for that again. Akshay has already introduced me. I am Rishabh Bhatt, and I am finishing up my master's in aerospace engineering. Will be starting my final semester this next month. And what do we have? It's an amazing thing to do. I do quite a bunch of things besides studying. I love hiking and cooking and talking to people, volunteering, contributing to the student community and the society and everything. So jumping on to what my biggest challenges were, like what Akshay said I would be talking about, is honestly, when I moved to RMIT, started RMIT, the biggest challenge was to find the buildings. It was such a pain because the buildings are numbered so randomly, and I'm like, oh, how do I go about that? And thankfully, How to RMIT sessions help you with that. And I think Akshay also did mention about give you a tip on how to do that. So that is the buildings. That was the biggest challenge. But coming to the serious part, I think it was more about time management for me, because I am somebody who does not like studying outside of classes. So I have to put in my time and effort into doing all the assignments, because you only have a certain few hours to study and do stuff. And then how do I go about that? So time management was definitely a big challenge, given that I also want to work outside and earn money and also have fun, be going outside, exploring different bars. And like I said, I love hiking. So how do I manage all of this? That was the biggest challenge. Moving on to my greatest highlight, I think definitely getting a job at RMIT as a student was an amazing thing for me, because I used to volunteer a lot, build my network, and learn a lot of things. And it's also a very fun thing to do. So I think that's definitely one of the biggest highlights for me at RMIT doing this job here. And besides that, all the experiences and memories I've collected over the past 2 years is like the cherry on top of the icing. So that, and as far as 3 tips to make the most of university is concerned is, first thing is dare to explore. There is so much more beyond academics that one can do at university. It's somewhere where you can experiment and learn different things, try on different things, and maybe just find out what's the best for you. So dare to explore beyond academics. It's just not the only thing. And number two would be to utilize university resources, because not so many people know that there's just so much out there from only the library, or there's a lot of assistance for students who are having mental health issues, or let's even just say academically not knowing how to go about doing their assignments, referencing, which was quite a thing for me. So I just went to the library for some assistance, and I got to understand how do I go about referencing and the essay structures and everything. And there's a lot more available at the university that many not know. You should just ask for it and you already have it there. And the third tip would be to volunteer. Volunteer so much in order to learn and also develop your people skill, because I think that's what makes one employable than everything else. Definitely your academics count, but it is how much of a people's person you are, a team player you are, and all these social skills that you gather, be culturally diverse, and see what your core strengths are and what you can flex about. So these are so much more important for you to be a good human of all, and employable as a result. So those will definitely be three of my best tips. Thank you.
Absolutely, for sure. I absolutely agree with you on that one, especially the third point, like about volunteering. Like it gives you so much opportunity to explore and find out what's on campus, make new friends. So, find out more about the MATES program or the RUSU volunteering opportunities. Like you find all this information just by Googling that keywords. So, that's really good to hear that from you, Rishabh, as well, how that shaped your learning and teaching as well. And again, like onto work integrated learning and that sort of space as well, where we're seeing that more and more shift in that career area where, agencies and organizations would want students who have that external experience that is, that you gain through volunteering or by interacting with your relevant industry. So switch on about, starting a startup with Activator, or whether it's volunteering, for the student union or your RMIT, like different avenues that you got. So that's really amazing to hear that from you, Rishabh. And thank you so much for your time to share those with us. And it is now my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Stephanie Di Vincenzo. And don't forget, if you have your questions for her, pop them in the YouTube or Weibo chat. So a little bit about Stephanie while she joins us. Hello. And Stephanie currently works as a creative strategist for Facebook. And she studied a Bachelor's of Communication Advertising at RMIT. She has worked across most of Melbourne's top advertising agencies and founded Melbourne's first copywriting agency, Apostrophe. That's the name, very catchy, and was also a global creative lead on Nike Women and co-founded Rare, Google's diversity and inclusion platform. Her work has been recognized at every major international award show. Very glad to have you here, Stephanie, and welcome.
Thank you so much for that very kind introduction. I'm so honored and humbled to be part of this amazing presentation to welcome the next cohort of students to RMIT. Congratulations on your new venture into the next chapter of your life. I'm sure it's going to be an exciting one. I was asked here today to give a little bit of insight into what life might be like after you finished your degrees by way of sharing my story. And so what I thought I would do is quickly just kind of go through a history of, or a timeline, I guess, of how I got from exactly where you are today to where I am today, but also touching on some of the things that I think might be interesting to you as new students in terms of what, how the next couple of years will set you up for every success that you're dreaming of right now. So for a little bit of context, as Akshay already mentioned, I did the Bachelor of Comms. My major was in advertising creative. I graduated in 2006, which means that I was in your shoes in 2003, which shockingly for me was almost 20 years ago. So that's crazy. But bear with me. Hopefully I'm not too out of touch for you guys. So back then, my ambitions really were to spend my life working in creative departments of advertising agencies, a little bit like Peggy from Mad Men, for any of you who've seen the show. And my highest ambitions was to be a creative director like Don Draper. And then I thought that, once I had done that, I'd be happy enough to do that forever and ever and just go about making advertising for my life and be very fulfilled. But unfortunately, I was wrong. I did make it to creative director. I was the Don Draper. I did that within 7 years of graduating. And as the cliche goes, unfortunately, it wasn't quite what I thought it was. But I was lucky enough to be working in a time where new jobs and new industries and new opportunities were emerging for people who had qualifications like mine. They were jobs that I was qualified for, but jobs that were beyond what I could have imagined doing when I was in your shoes. One of those I occupy now, and I'm sure for many of you, the job that you occupy 10 years from now doesn't exist today. Anyway, let me give you a little bit of history to give you more context on that journey. So I spent the first 5 years of my career working in big multinational advertising agencies. Some of you might have heard of them. They're institutions here in Melbourne, Clemens BBDO, DDB, and I was working on some of the country's biggest brands. So campaigns for Mercedes. At the time, Yellow Pages was a thing. Not so much anymore, but that was a huge brand. ANZ was really big back then as well as it is today, and Mars. And my role back then was pretty well defined and well contained. Basically, what would happen is I'd get a brief from the suits. I'd come up with an idea. When I say suits, I mean the people who are client managing. I shouldn't use lingo here. I'm just becoming aware of that. Sorry. I'd get a brief. I'd come up with an idea for an ad. And then I would write the script while my partner, who was an art director, would draw the storyboard. Then we'd go to the shoot. We'd sit in the edit suite. We would field client changes, and then we'd launch. And then we repeat. That was my day in, day out. I loved the buzz of the agency, and I loved all of the different interesting characters that I got to work alongside. I loved coming up with ideas. I loved using my writing talent for something commercial that I could actually make a living from. But it was a very stuffy and very traditional environment. And the pace was fast. It still is fast in advertising agencies. And the culture could be toxic, to be really honest. Not to mention, quite often, more than once in my career, I was the only female in a department of 30 or 40 people. So you can imagine the lack of diversity if gender isn't even addressed. It didn't really go much further than that either. So 5 years in, after doing my kind of regular workflow that I just described and understanding more about the culture, I decided to pursue a parallel career and start my own business. As mentioned a little bit earlier on, it was a copywriting agency called Apostrophe, and it still exists today. You can Google it. And basically, it was set up as a way for advertising writers like myself to contract directly to big brands without having to work in an agency. And that was obviously founded in direct response to my own personal experience of working in one. It meant that I would have more flexibility. It meant that I could enjoy a much healthier culture. And it meant that I could hustle and use the entrepreneurial spirit that I'd always had, but hadn't really been invited to use in agency land. So this was my first kind of clue into one of the skills that I could carry forward with me into jobs that perhaps hadn't been defined yet or invented yet. That proactive entrepreneurial response to problems or solving problems in the world proactively. So after a few years of running the agency, I decided that I wanted to fulfill a lifelong dream of living in Europe. And so I packed up all my stuff and I moved to London, which is a city that in many ways is about 5 years ahead of my own hometown being Melbourne. I was blown away when I stepped off a plane and realized how far ahead they were in terms of not just technology, but even the way that they would come up with campaign ideas. The advertising industry there had already moved into an age of innovation and tech, and agencies were working for brands like Nike on projects like inventing the Nike Fuel Band, which was obviously followed by many generations of other kinds of brands doing similar things like Fitbit, like Garmin, et cetera, et cetera. But the first was invented by an advertising agency, and that was called the Nike Fuel Band. So that was the kind of stuff that they were working on. They weren't writing TV ads. It was a far cry from, using TV to market. Now brands were actually using experiences to market their brands. And I'd always preferred the few interactive projects that I'd worked on in agencies through my career. So this was a really welcome change for me. Really keen to kind of work on those kinds of projects like product and service design. I took a new job at a place called AKQA. It's still an agency, but they rather refer to themselves as like a home of innovation or a house of imagination. That's the way that they kind of pitch themselves to their clients, one of whom was Nike. And so I was appointed head of Nike Women when I got that job. And while I was there, I worked on a bunch of really interesting innovation projects. And because of the nature of those projects, I got to work with people I hadn't before. I'd worked with developers and engineers. We built apps and immersive digital experiences. And the skills that I was using were kind of the same to the ones I was using when I was coming up with campaign ideas. I would still write scripts. I'd still go to shoots. But instead of creating a TV ad off the back of that shoot, I was creating video content for the Nike Training Club app. So it was a really different experience. But again, I started to see a pattern of skills that I could take forward with me, skills that I had learned, again, when I was in your shoes starting out at RMIT. So not only was the work different, the culture was also different in that role. They didn't want me to stay in my lane. They didn't want me to serve an exact job description like agencies back home did. They wanted me to discover, to invent and explore, and they wanted me to innovate. So they gave me the freedom to do that. And that was a really big lesson for me, that a company like that would trust me with that responsibility. Anyway, so after a couple of years of doing that, I moved back home, which felt like moving back in time. And despite the fact that I found myself, again, landing a job at the best agency in the country, nothing had changed. So I quickly started looking at jumping industries. This was in 2017. I knew that I wanted something future-facing where the culture mirrored what I'd experienced in London. And so I moved into big tech, which is where I am now, first with Google and now with Facebook. And for me, it feels like it was the right move, not only for my sanity, because I'm not one who enjoys toxic cultures, but also for the benefit of the creative work and for future-proofing my career. The kind of businesses, just looking back, the kind of businesses that I used to work for, the kinds of businesses that refuse to change with the times are now really struggling to keep up, particularly those traditional advertising agencies. They're also struggling to hold on to talent. They're struggling to produce groundbreaking work. They're struggling to deliver as quickly as their clients expect. And they're struggling to make profits like they used to. So they're shrinking. So why? Well, there's three pretty big shifts that have occurred through the 15 years that I've been working in this industry. One is competition for talent is fiercer now. So Silicon Valley has absorbed an unfair share of the world's best talent. Why? Because they offer amazing perks and benefits to anyone who goes to work there. And that means we're starting to see people opt out of offices and out of office hours. COVID has just expedited that. It's all about flexibility now. We really are living in a time that favors that. It's about having a schedule that suits your personal lifestyle and your personality as well. And so any company that wants to compete for the talent that they need in order to flourish, they need to match that culture and perks at a minimum. And so as a result, we've seen the rise of inclusion and flexibility, which is a really great thing. And it just means that the workforce that you guys are entering, once you've come through your degrees, is going to be vastly more balanced and more inclusive and more enjoyable, frankly, than the one that I entered 15 years ago. Another really interesting thing that's evolved since I was in your shoes is that agility matters now. It matters a hell of a lot more than it used to. Ideas have to be fresh. They have to be quick to market. You can't spend 6 months mulling over a creative idea. And traditional organizations with bureaucratic structures don't know how to allow for that kind of speed. Whereas future-facing companies give you the freedom to explore and make the calls that you need to make in order to get stuff done. They really celebrate entrepreneurial spirit, which I've found to be a great advantage for me because it means that my skills are really valued. And those companies, they hire the best and they get out of their way. So again, the industry that you're working your way into is going to be one that affords you all the autonomy that you need to make your dreams and the dreams of the company come true as well. And the last big evolution that I've noticed is that time served matters a hell of a lot less now. So sure, experience is important, but ingenuity is held just as highly. And if a company is looking to reinvent the next big thing, they're going to hire that based on who's capable of doing that. So it might be, for example, in the tech world, the guy who worked on the last iPhone, or it might be the college grad that just hacked his maths calculator to serve Shakespearean insults, which actually happened. But suddenly he's really like in demand, right? Because he has the ingenuity. And if all of you are kind of thinking in those new and exciting ways and using your time at RMIT to really explore those sides of you, it will help with your hireability at the end of your degree as well. And then finally, you know, either way, it's about, I think, about the ability to think in new and exciting ways, which I've mentioned. But that's also why there's such a big focus on diversity and inclusion now. You'll probably hear it a lot on campus, and you'll hear it even more out in the industry. There's a real focus on hiring outside of the traditional talent pools, which I think is a great advantage for all of you. The reason that that is the case is that if you want different ideas, you've got to find different kinds of people. And none of us are really sure of what the future holds, but we are guaranteed that we're going to get there a hell of a lot faster if we hear from different kinds of perspectives and work together. And so with all of that, I think the thing that I'd like to kind of just finish on before we open up to questions is that so much has changed in the 15 years since I graduated. And it's going to change even more because the speed of change only accelerates over time. Fortunately, RMIT does an excellent job at equipping students like you and like me with the tools that you need to navigate whatever lies ahead, you know, no matter how unexpected that may be. It's an incredible institution, and they'll teach you, as they did me, things like how to be curious, how to be proactive, and how to be prolific. And willing to be willing and prepared to embrace the unknown, because ultimately that is what is guaranteed. You know, that uncertainty, that's the only thing that's guaranteed in the future. So lean in, because not only will your course teach you all of the ins and outs and the very textbook things that you need to know, it will also guide you to understand how to feel really empowered to deal in times of uncertainty and actually make it work for you. So you're in the very best of hands. Good luck, and I hope that you enjoy the next few years and that your orientation experience is really rewarding. I think with that, we've got some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing that with us, Stephanie. It was really inspirational to hear your journey and how you've overcome these adversities. And, you know, before I get into a little bit more like questions, I just found a very gem question that I think is very quick from Michael Saliba, who's watching us right now. So have you seen the show Emily in Paris, and how much did it remind you of your time spent in London?
So much. I was Emily in Paris. I was Stephanie in London. It was the same experience. I actually used to go to Paris sometimes, and I'd gorge myself on pastries like she did. But yeah, I encourage international work. I think it's an amazing way to blow your mind and widen your horizons.
That's fantastic. So yeah, for other people watching, post questions that you have for Stephanie and Rishabh as well, because guess what, Rishabh will come back and try to answer some of the questions that you have as well. And Stephanie, the next question that I have for you is, what are you passionate about, and how did it help you to stay motivated to get to where you are now?
Well, the focus of my passion has shifted slightly. I kind of touched on it a little bit going through my story. Like, the focus of my passion at the beginning was advertising. The focus of my passion now is products and service design. But the thing that has remained the same is that I'm really passionate about solving problems using creativity. So back then it was solving business problems using creative solutions for advertising. And now it's about, in a lot of ways, solving people problems or societal problems by using product and service. But yeah, I've always found it really motivating. And I think, you know, it's okay if students don't have those answers right now. This is what you're at uni for. You are on that journey of self-discovery to figure out what it is that drives you, so that you can set yourself up for the years to come.
Absolutely. Being aware of the time, I'll make my questions more concise. I can imagine your role at Facebook involves constant changes, adapting to its customers. How do you deal with working in a rapidly evolving workplace?
Well, it's about, I think the real benefit to working at a place like Facebook is that you're surrounded by very intelligent people that you can trust. So working really quickly and in a way that is agile is all about, kind of trusting yourself and trusting those around you to move forward fast. And I think that would be the biggest key, like getting comfortable with the uncertain and the unpredictable, because that is just the nature of the world we live in today. It's not true of Facebook only. It is true of every business on earth. But yeah, then also really getting to know your skill set and getting to intimately know your teammates will help.
Yeah, I got Ebony Healy in the chat that Stephanie's really out here living her dream life.
I don't know. I'm not on a super yacht today, so I can't say it's my dream life, but close.
Well, you are living Ebony's dream life, according to Ebony. So yeah, that is yeah. And I also got another comment from Adeline Vlogs at RMIT that East University going to be yes, there's a lot of positive comments from the chat. I'm trying to read them as you're answering questions, but I think I'm also aware of the time that we have today. So thank you so much for your time and your inspirational words, Stephanie. It's been a pleasure having you with us in this virtual studio, and I look forward to meeting you in person to hear more about your stories.
Thanks so much. Good luck, everyone.
Awesome. Now let's get back to Rishabh. And following on from Stephanie's inspirational responses, Rishabh, let me ask you a question. There we go. We have Rishabh.
Hi again.
You are in your final, yes. And my question for you, Rishabh, is you are in your final semester of a master's degree. And what's been your biggest challenge in your studies and how have you overcome it?
Well, I think I mentioned this even in my speech. For me, I do not like studying outside of classes. I just don't. So I think the biggest challenge was definitely trying to make sure that I actually invest a lot more time into my assignments, because assignments, unlike my back in India where I'm from, the assignments over there were so much more easier, just sit down, get done, and we had a ton of exams, so it was just study for the exams and be happy. But then over here, you're assessed on the assignments that you submit, and it's so much more work than what they teach in class. We have to do a lot of study on ourselves and go back to our professors and ask for more questions if we have anything, whatever. So I think it was more about time management and trying to figure out how do I go about this. So, but then I think eventually it just came about, and I realized that I enjoy learning, studying what I study, and it was just the interest of wanting to learn more that really got me to, sometimes I do have to belt myself and you need to sit down and study. So, but otherwise, yeah, that was the biggest challenge, and I tried my best to fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I have a funny question that came up in the chat. Well, I guess maybe it's a serious question, but there was a question, and this was quite popular last year as well. I noticed a lot of students are very curious to know this. What is one of your top recommendations to make out on campus, Rishabh? Sports to make out on campus. Yeah, it was a very popular question last year as well, from memory.
Well, there's actually a lot of sports, come to think about it. But am I supposed to say this on live sessions?
I mean, students want to know. So, I mean, I would say the garden building is a very good space. From my personal memory from last year, not an experience, just saying it was a response that we got last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of places. There's a lot of parks and everything. So
absolutely,
I'm gonna zip them out there.
Fair enough. Where's the best coffee on campus then? Where can you get a good Melbourne coffee?
Personally, I'm not a coffee person because I just can't. But if I do crave something hot on a cold day, because it's just starting to get cold now, so I go to Real Foods Cafe in the city campus, and their hot chocolate is delicious, and I get it with almond milk. So it's so much more nicer, and they're vegan, and they also do like plain milk stuff as well. So they're amazing. I love Real Foods Cafe for their hot chocolate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so Real Foods, I heard, is coming back open as well. So, check out. Yeah, amazing.
Oh yeah.
And the other question is, what is the best, easiest way to join a club?
Definitely just go to Rusu's website. You can find a ton of clubs, and even I think RMIT students page, if you go, there's a lot of links to different clubs, any interest whatsoever. There's a ton of clubs, and Akshay is the Rusu president, and I mean he's just trying to show off his hoodie there. And
go to the website.
So just go to the website. You can find a lot out there. There's various creative and sporting clubs, and a lot of different societies for different engineering fields or just like different disciplines as such.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
That's the best way.
Yeah. And this is a sad one, and we get this a lot. A student in the chat is asking Rishabh, my student card hasn't arrived yet. How do I access campus?
Firstly, you should know that your student card gives you access to every single place. But what I would suggest is, and it's very important, and so what you really need to do is you need to log into my RMIT to order your student card. So if you've already ordered your student card and it's not come to you or reached you before your first class, then you can collect a temporary student card from Building 8, I think, on level 4, room 13, which is also known as Megaflex 3. So Building 8, level 4, room 13, which is Megaflex 3. And you can get a temporary student card from there until you get your actual card, which you can use afterwards. But make sure you always finish your COVID training and daily health declaration, because it is very important at this point.
Yeah, that is spot on. Very important information, especially to make sure that we are following all the COVID regulations. Absolutely.
Indeed.
And another question that we got from a student is, how can I stay up to date with what's happening on campus and at RMIT this year, generally, both online and on campus? Where can students find that?
I would give 3 options, but it's good to keep a tab on all these 3 things. One is definitely your student email. A lot of emails come to your student email, and a lot of information comes to student email. So your student email is very important. 2, look up RMIT University or RMIT students on Facebook and RMIT University on Instagram. And this will keep you in the loop of whatever's happening, and you will stay up to date and enjoy a lot of free food whenever you can.
Absolutely. So yeah, make sure to follow RMIT on Facebook, Instagram, other social media platforms that you use, WeChat, and even Rusu on the same platforms as well, to get an update on what's happening on campus, events, and what's happening online, because there's going to be a lot of engagement in engaging events that are going to be happening soon. So make sure you chuck a follow, like, share, subscribe, like they say. And last one, I think, what's your favorite thing about RMIT, Rishabh, to wrap up?
RMIT Stock of Spaces memes, like, they are epic. They're on fire. Like RMIT Stock of Space on Facebook, there's just so many funny memes, and also just a lot of memes that RMIT sometimes posts. But besides that, what's my favorite thing about RMIT, on a serious note, is the colors and diversity on campus. And the fact that both the staff and everybody, just the regular staff on campus, are super helpful. Like, you go to anybody for any question you have. There's no such thing as stupid question. The fact that people are so helpful is what makes me love RMIT more. And the fact that it's so student-centered in terms of students can get involved and learn and do a lot of things is what takes the thing for me. That's definitely my most favorite part about RMIT, and definitely the cool spaces, study spaces that are available across the campuses. Yes, because all 3 campuses have such amazing cool spaces, very specific for students. So maybe just go click a few pictures for Instagram.
Absolutely. And I think there's
Yeah.
so many cool memes that come out of, the students page or Rusu, or there's so many memes out there as well. So this is really the space to be in if you want to if you want to engage with that student community. Thanks so much, Stephanie and Rochelle, for joining us. And thank you to all RMIT students for tuning in. And we hope you found it worthwhile. And remember to check out the orientation page for a full list of activities happening online and around campus if you haven't already. Okay? And make sure to attend a How to RMIT session. And I will see you on campus, and come say hi to me. And in the language of the Buing Rong and Nun Gunjin, or thank you, and all the best for 2021, and see you around.
'Cause I'm in the stars tonight, so watch me bring the fire, set the night light. Shoes on, get up in the morning, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. Kink out, kick the drum, rolling on like a rolling stone. Sing song when I'm walking home, jump up to the top of the brown. Ding dong, call me on my phone, nice tea, and I'll get my ping pong.